On the biggest stage in the world, FanDuel is changing the game because sometimes your player gets subbed off and your bet goes with them. Not anymore. With FanDuel Super Sub, if your player's subbed out, your bet stays in. That's right. If your player leaves the match, your bet continues on with the substitute. So you're still in it until the final whistle. Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
21 plus select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DCKYWY. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. 888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050. Massachusetts. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 877-770-7867. Louisiana.
Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
How are you doing this Sunday evening, my friends? The Anthony Cumia Show. And great weekend? I certainly hope so. Out and about, you know, doing what I do on the weekends, going out into Greenville, which, oh boy, had a little news story that came in yesterday, I think it was. Our little mall, we have a mall here in Greenville, South Carolina, and a shooting. Yawn. A shooting. Why wouldn't there be? Why wouldn't there be a shooting? You'd think Greenville, South Carolina, great place. I moved here a couple of years ago. I searched. I really did a lot of legwork, about a year, with realtors. Oh, God, realtors. Driving around with blonde, bubble-headed blonde women that are a little too old to be as flirty as they are. Those are realtors in giant caddies or Lincolns, like the old days. You want to ride with me or follow? I'll follow you. 1,000 miles an hour down every side street. Then they got to tell you about everybody that bought a house from her. And I had to go through all that. I took a little tangent there. But I had to go through all that because I could not take being in New York anymore. Just couldn't do it. The crime... you pay taxes where you'd think the streets should be paved with gold. And they're not even paved. And I decided Greenville, South Carolina, that's the place for me. Peaceful, neighborly, southern, still on the East Coast. So it's not that hard. I still have friends and family in New York, so I fly up there. It doesn't take long at all. And the past, I don't know, year or so, downtown Greenville, there was a stabbing and fights. And then just yesterday, I guess it was, a shooting at the mall. And yes, someone was arrested. Someone that was compelled to look at the weather, I guess, that morning, when they woke up, and seeing that it was 93 degrees out, we're in a bit of a heat wave on the East Coast, decided to put a long sleeve wool hoodie on and shoot up the mall in Greenville, South Carolina. That's what's going on down here. Look, I understand. It isn't happening on a daily basis like it is in some of the large cities around the country. New York City, of course, Chicago, L.A., Detroit, Baltimore, Atlanta, D.C. I could go on and on and on and on. But when you move somewhere to get away from that, literally to get away from it. I was taking the Long Island Railroad in to Manhattan every day. And the second that train pulls into Penn Station, you're on red alert. Red alert. There was just a stabbing in Penn Station. I spoke about that on this very program last week. The second you get off that train, if you don't have your head on a swivel and your legs and feet ready to move, you're not doing what you need to do. Your survival instincts are gravely lacking. And don't let anyone tell you I'm being paranoid and this isn't happening. And it is. It is. So, you know, a lot of people would like to move away from some of the places they're in, these cities, and they can't. They can't move away. Kids are in school. They have a job that they cannot relocate that makes them good money. There's just a litany of reasons that people have for not being able to leave. God bless. I was able to leave. And I did. And I did my homework, and I wanted to find a peaceful place that's nice people. And I look at my my X account, and people are just sending me the link. Hey, Anthony, what happened? What happened to your wonderful Greenville, South Carolina? I see on Main Street on the weekends there's fights, and there was a shooting at the mall, and I go, I don't know what to tell you. I would love if there was a single place in this country to move to where we do not have to deal with that, with the non-stop crime and violent crime. You know, years ago, when I was a kid, I always got the impression, I guess through cartoons, that crime was a guy, he had a mask on over his eyes and a hat, and he was dressed in black, and he'd go through your window, or he'd go into a bank vent, and he'd come out with a black bag with a dollar sign on it. Yeah, I don't know why a criminal, in hindsight, would put a money sign on his bag that he's putting the goods into, but that's what I thought it was. And it seemed like, we're all asleep. Cat burglars, we heard about that. They'd sneak into people's houses while they slept, and they were so quiet that people never even woke up. They just walked around like a cat, and they took your valuables. I'm looking for your valuables, sir. And again, that was years ago, and when I was a kid, and that was my impression of crime and people getting stuff stolen from them. The truth of the matter is, the crime we have in 2026 is violent crime, deadly, violent crime. And there is a segment of society perpetrating a lot of it, a whole lot of it. And it does not seem like the people in power, the people that are responsible for the protection of the citizens, from Donald Trump as president right down to a damn dog catcher in your town. They have been given the job of keeping you relatively safe. No one could do that 100%, but that's their job. And no one wants to say what needs to be said. No one wants to do what needs to be done. I bring up Mayor Brandon Johnson in Chicago constantly. There are murders every single week going on. The weekends are double jeopardy, where you can kill twice as many people. That's Chicago. This guy's the mayor. It's his job as the boss of the Chicago Police Department to do whatever needs to be done to protect the people. And every week, like so much cordwood, bodies get stacked up. And innocent people, look, there are gang-on-gang violence, happens all the time. People get shot, and then you hear the usual stuff. Well, there's no suspects yet. They don't have a lead on anybody. No one's really talking. You know what that means? A gang member shot another gang member, and don't worry, we'll take care of it. We don't need the police. We don't need you. We'll deal with it. And then the next couple of days or week, you read about someone else that got blasted in the head. And you go, oh, okay, they're taking care of their own business. The only problem with that is that sometimes through a lack of the ability to fire a weapon accurately, grandma gets hit, or God forbid, children are constantly being hit. Innocent bystanders, they say, and they say a stray bullet. A stray bullet would be one that jumped out of a ammo box and flew into somebody. When someone is purposely firing a gun to kill someone, that's not a stray bullet. Whoever it hits that is injured or killed, that is the direct responsibility of the person firing the weapon, not the stray bullet. But, you know, we've been told that that's how we have to talk about this. And when you have someone like Brandon Johnson, and he's not the only one, they're New York mayors, you know, believe me, I'm going to get on Mamdani about his taking care of the riots that went on last night because of the Knicks victory. But these mayors, liberal, communist, minority mayor, whatever you want to call them, they are not doing what needs to be done to protect the citizens that pay the taxes, go to work, live their life, try to live their lives and raise their families in a peaceful place like Greenville, South Carolina, where now I have to, head on a swivel here? When I go to the, first of all, you wouldn't get me in a mall if there were signs on the outside that said, everything here is free. I'd go, you know what? It isn't worth it anyway. All right, look, we are just getting started. There is so much to talk about, and I cherish your thoughts. So give us a call, 800-848-9222. That would be 800-848-9222. Lots to talk about. We are getting into it tonight, and stick around. We'll be right back.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Sunday, you know, kind of start going, damn it. Tomorrow's Monday. I hate doing that because you're wasting a portion of your weekend. If you wake up Sunday and all you're thinking is tomorrow's Monday, you've cut your weekend down to like a day, Saturday. So cheer up. Enjoy what you have left of your weekend before you have to get back into that grind. Happy birthday, Donald Trump. That's right. Donald Trump is 80 years old. Woofa. And I guess he's at the White House. Is this UFC thing kicking off? Or I think there's a weather delay. There have been some insane storms up and down the East Coast today. They pass by fast, but man, they are brutal. So I hope that gets underway. I know a lot of Democrats, of course, liberals. Oh, boy, do they not like this whole thing. We've been seeing it on social media, reading about it all week, for longer than a week. The second it was announced, that this was going down, that they were going to have a UFC bout, a whole card, as a matter of fact, at the White House, on the White House lawn. The Democrats and liberals, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. How are they letting him do this to the White House? And all I can say is, did they look at the Pride Month activities that were going on at the White House during the Biden administration? This debaucherous, degenerate sex show? Now, look, I don't mind a debaucherous, degenerate sex show every so often, but that's the kind of thing that does not belong at the White House. They were bitching and moaning about a motorcycle stunt show. There were motorcycles doing some extreme stunts and flips on ramps at the White House. And yeah, that's great. Oh, what a disgrace it is. This is what he's turned the White House into. They want to make it seem like he is treading on the sanctity of the White House. And they were the ones that had transgender people flashing, walking around half naked, flashing their chests on the White House lawn as they decked the entire White House out in the rainbow colors of the LGBTQA1 plus community. I don't know how steak sauce got in there, but I just noticed the other day A1's in there. How is steak sauce gay? I don't want to hear anyone's take on why steak sauce would be gay, because just thinking about what you people would say disgusts me. But, yeah, that was going on at the White House under the Biden administration. Yet motorcycles and UFC and people enjoying themselves, that's a terrible, terrible thing. I don't think they understand that type of entertainment is the majority of what Americans like. It might not be like, oh, that's my favorite thing, but I think a lot of Americans, especially men, real men, not the ones you see in front of ICE facilities protesting, men, they like that stuff. If you're scrolling on social media and you see motorcycle jumps, if you're a guy, you're stopping. You're watching it. Oh, man, look at that. That's what guys, American men in this country like. And I would love to believe that they are still the majority of men in this country. You weed out the big cities, the pride events. You got a bunch of guys left that enjoy watching that stuff. So to say that the country is disgusted with the events that have been going on at the White House is, again, well, this is what they do. It's dishonest. They lie about stuff like that. And I, quite frankly, do not give the slightest bit of crap about what they find appropriate or inappropriate. Because for the past how many years now have we had to listen to them try to justify putting quite literally pornography in the classrooms, bringing children to their transgender drag show events where little kids are watching hairy man ass hanging out of chaps, and they're dancing around, shaking it in front of children's faces as the parents tell their kids to shove money down their G-strings or chaps or whatever. And I'm supposed to give them any attention or credence in what they're saying when they say that Trump is being inappropriate? Get out of here. Knock it off. Please. We're all disgusted. Believe me. Joaquin from, of course, Pennsylvania. How are you, sir?
Pennsylvania.
I almost said
going
Phoenix.
To the subway and carry a nice switchblade knife like I bought that has a 6-inch blade on it.
Yeah.
And to see what kind of trouble you get in if you want to defend yourself.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, it would really be defending myself. I wouldn't I've been in situations where I had the tools on my person to defend myself. And I've been in situations where I walked away with some damage. But it wasn't a situation where I could have used those tools. And, we're looking at a situation now. I'll get into the Carmelo Anthony story in a little bit also, but it's preposterous. And the people supporting this murderer based on nothing but the color of their skin, I was going to say should be ashamed of themselves, but we've seen there's no shame there. No shame whatsoever in anything that goes on. So what do you got, Joaquin?
Okay, you know what? Let's go back to President Theodore Roosevelt, okay?
Bully,
Theodore Roosevelt had all kinds of pugilistic events at the White House. As a
yes.
matter of fact, I'm not sure if it's the West Wing. I think it's the West Wing that Donald Trump has been rebuilding to make it, a thing where he could take, people in.
Yeah, the ballroom.
And make it look good and whatever else. Teddy Roosevelt actually originally built that for that specific purpose. It's just,
he would have people come in, boxers of the day would come in and box and spar with him. He was a man's man, A lot of people called him kind of a socialist, but it was nothing like what they call socialism these days. This guy, Teddy Roosevelt, I've watched so many documentaries on this guy. Just an amazing man, an American man. The national parks, he's directly responsible for how we look at and preserve our national parks. And, he was in some serious crap. He went to war. He went into the wilderness. And this is a real guy. And that's what he decided, his personality, to bring to the White House, some boxing. And how could anyone say that a president shouldn't bring some of their personality, what they enjoy, and share it with the people at the White House?
Exactly. And Teddy Roosevelt, quite frankly, I got all my grandsons a book on Teddy Roosevelt, as a Christmas present.
Yeah,
cool. That is one of the most amazing men. He was friends with Bat Masterson and all these guys.
Yeah, Old West guys. And a tragic life also. Some horrific deaths that fell upon his loved ones, and he pulled himself up and did what he needed to do. Just an amazing guy. Joaquin, I got to bail. I got a break coming up, but always appreciate your phone call. I want to talk about the Knicks celebration. We'll get into that. It always starts off, look, the people are in the streets celebrating, and then it turns into a catastrophe. So we'll talk about that and a lot more when we return with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I just saw this on X, the UFC event at the White House. A lot of people there and security very tight. One of the people that were involved with the UFC, a fighter, Sean Strickland, very controversial character, has his opinions on things, and he has had the finger wagged at him many times for what he has to say. He was told he would not be able to attend the UFC event at the White House. Well, he got in wearing a disguise, and he was summarily mobbed by security and Secret Service, tossed into a police van, and removed from the event. Holy jeez. Yeah, that's, hey, if you want to make yourself an online celebrity, get a little viral heat going, I guess that's the way to do it. But we'll see how much trouble he actually gets in. What is that, trespassing? Although if you trespass at the Capitol, you get 30 years in prison. That's what I hear anyway. But all right, so that's going on. Yeah, let's talk about the Knicks celebration, huh? Are we all psyched about the Knicks? I know people like basketball. I don't know what to tell you. Not my favorite sport out of the big four. I do enjoy a baseball game. I know they could be a little dull. I get you. But I like going to the games. A nice summer day, hanging out. It's not, you go to a hockey game, you are amped up. Everyone around you is amped up. You're banging on the plexiglass if you're close to the ice. But baseball, I kind of like grabbing a hot dog and a beer, and you could sit and talk with people. It doesn't have to be 110 miles an hour constantly. And then every so often you get those amazing plays. I kind of like that. Call me crazy. Football, I enjoy football. I enjoy watching football on TV. There's no excuse now for not enjoying football on TV. Giant screen TVs, everyone's got them in their house. The quality of the video is insane. The camera angles, every angle you can imagine they are giving to you. So I enjoy that. Hockey, like I said, is a treat. I don't go a lot, but in New York, I used to go to the Islander Rangers games at the Coliseum or MSG, and those are just mental. You are wound up. Like how nice and relaxing a baseball game is, a hockey game is your heart's beating, you're standing up most of the time. It's action-packed. Basketball, obviously, if you come back from a giant deficit and win in the championship, one of the championship games with 1 second left on the clock, all right, I'll give you that. That was pretty impressive. But basketball as a sport, I mean, all right, up and down the court, 2 points, 2 points, 3 points. The most exciting part of any sport is scoring. A home run, crack, amazing. A touchdown. The guy's running, he's just shedding blockers right there, just makes it in. Hockey. Oh, my God, the passing. Back and forth. There he goes. Oh, he shoots, he scores. Yeah. Horn goes off. Basketball. Dung, 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 dung. Whoosh, 2 points. Dung, 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 dung. Whoosh, 2 points. Hey, we're at 30 to 35. Dung, 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 dung. Whoosh. I cannot find any excitement when they are constantly scoring, when scoring is the big part of the game. That's what makes it exciting. And then I get told, oh, Anthony, the last minute of a basketball game, the last 30 seconds. Oh, then we get dunk, 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 foul. Foul shot, throw it in, dunk, 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 2 points. I cannot. I don't find it exciting. I know a lot of people are very excited about the Knicks. They did win over the Spurs in 5. And when the game was finished, New Yorkers took to the streets of Manhattan, and they went absolutely bullcrap. It's all nice at first. I was watching a lot of live streams of people that had their phones going. They were streaming on various social media platforms. Nick Shirley, who, of course, he's the guy that uncovered a bunch of the fraud in Minneapolis being perpetrated by Somalis with their daycare centers. He was in Manhattan last night, so I was watching his stream. And a lot of people are coming up to him. Nick, I love your work. Great job. And it seemed like it was just a bunch of people raising a fist in the air and going, yeah, Knicks in 5, go Knicks. This is great. And I'm watching this going, this just turns, though. This stops because certain people will get bored of just going, yeah, Knicks in 5, woo, kick ass, we did it. And then they walk around, they're like, hey, Knicks in 5. Let's burn something. How about we just burn stuff? Because, Knicks in 5. And then a bunch of people, because it's a mob mentality at that point. Mob mentality is just an amazing phenomenon. It takes a couple of imbeciles to turn everyone around them into imbeciles. I think the people that are susceptible to turning into those imbeciles have some imbecilic thoughts and behaviors anyway, but they aren't the ones ready to jump in and light a school bus on fire, as we saw last night, a few school buses on fire. But they're just looking, and if they see someone else do it, they're the guy that goes, all right, I'll do it. We've known people like this our whole lives, haven't we? Remember in high school, there'd be people that would bring an M80 into the school, and you'd seek out the guy you knew was crazy enough to light it and put it in one of the bathroom toilets. And everyone knew who that guy was, too. And when they did something that was crazy, it emboldened other people. Like, oh, he did it. That went well. How about I just throw the M80 down the toilet now myself? This is how mob mentality works. And we saw it in full play last night with this Knicks pandemonium that went on after the win last night. So they're walking around, they're having a good time, and then before you know it, I'm checking out more live sites, and I'm just seeing vandalism, arson, assaults, shooting. There was, how about that, New York, a shooting. I have a little list here. Let's see. Here's the latest update per the NYPD. Midtown Manhattan descended into chaos after Game 5 of the Knicks-Spurs game. 10 officers injured. One punched in the face, another struck with a glass bottle. A shooting at 43rd and Broadway wounded a 17-year-old. Crowds took over 43rd Street so completely that no ambulance could reach the scene. So NYPD drove the victim to the hospital. Officers recovered a firearm and took 3 people of interest into custody. You're interesting. Could I put some handcuffs on you? What an interesting fellow. Come with me. 4 slashings and a partridge. 4 slashings and stabbings. Crowds torched 5 school buses. 5 school buses that were shuttling fans from Manhattan to MetLife Stadium for the World Cup. So I saw a lot of people were wondering why the hell there were buses parked in Times Square. This is a logistical F-up of just epic proportions. How do you decide you're going to store or have these buses there as shuttle buses for the World Cup during the Knicks game? When, if they win, you know damn well the crap's going to hit the fan and those buses are toast. No pun. Toast. Who thought? Because we saw what happened. Didn't we get a preview of this after the win at Madison Square Garden? Didn't we get a preview? But what are you going to... And the loss. It was just... Any time the Knicks were playing, whether it was here or in San Antonio, the fans went wild and started destroying stuff. How do you then decide you're going to put 5 buses in Times Square, not thinking anything's going to happen. And that's directly on Zoran Mamdani. That's Zoran Mamdani. They torched those buses. 5 NYPD vehicles were wrecked. We saw a lot of video of people swinging baseball bats at the cars, jumping on roofs, smashing all the windows and windshields of the vehicles. Crowds destroyed multiple personal vehicles, too. People set off fireworks inside packed crowds. Of course, the usual climbing of light poles, destroying signs, traffic signals, scaffolding, brawling in the street. They blocked the avenues for hours and refused to disperse. 63 arrests. Charges include assault, a police officer, criminal possession of firearms, criminal mischief, disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and obstruction of governmental administration. This is how New York celebrates their basketball team winning. They get so worked up from 2 points that they have to destroy everything in their wake. But it is great to see that Zoran Mamdani, the mayor of New York City, he's taking this very seriously by having a Knicks victory parade on Thursday in New York. Down the Canyon of Heroes, a victory parade. How do you do this? How do you look at what has transpired over the course of this series, these games, and what happened last night, and decide we need to bring these people back into the city and get them riled up, drunk, and destroy even more of the city? Downtown, where Canyon of Heroes is, for a ticker tape parade. They're going to allow this to happen. And I don't see any capability of the mayor's office or the NYPD at this point. I know some of the rank and file probably want to do their job. They're not being allowed to do their job. But the brass, the people that have to answer to Zoran Mamdani, do not have the ability to keep these crowds in check. They are incapable of putting the police out on the streets where they need to be to do what they need to do and prevent the destruction we saw last night. Nothing's perfect. Nothing is 100%. I know I've seen many New York City, some New York championships, and things get out of hand. A car gets rolled over. It happens. It's not good. It shouldn't happen, but it does. Nothing like what happened last night should happen.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show. Let's go to Matt in the Bronx. Wants to talk about the violence at the Knicks celebration. Matt, what's up, man?
Hey, Anthony. Well, one thing I was keeping my fingers crossed that the Knicks violence didn't cross over into Sunday's, quote, Puerto Rican Day Parade, unquote. For people that don't live in New York City, I'm going to talk about that very briefly. For people that don't live in New York and have to deal with that ethnic group, I don't know what your image of Puerto Ricans is, but in sum and substance, they're basically the ghastly result of crossbreeding three things: Caribbean Indians, blacks, and an especially low grade of white trash. And if you recall, 25 years ago in the city, you had the Puerto Rican Day Parade where about 50 women were sexually assaulted.
It used to be called Wilding, Matt. Remember Wilding?
In Central Park. In Central Park.
Yes.
And the point I'm trying to make, the larger point I'm trying to make, it's always the usual suspects, just like with the Knicks violence. It's the usual suspects. You're talking about I'm not going to be politically correct. I'm going to come right out and say it. Mainly blacks and Hispanics who cause most of the crime in big cities across this country. They're only 13 and 19% respectively. But again, they commit most of the murders, most of the shootings, most of the robberies, most of the assaults, most of the violent crime, the type of crime in which you're likely to lose your life. Those are the people who are likely going to be pulling the trigger or stabbing the knife into your chest. And again, nobody says anything. It's directly correlated to our immigration policy. Prior to 1965, mostly Europeans came to the United States. Mm-hmm. Why is that important? It's important because they're more likely to assimilate. They're less likely to commit crime. They're more likely to be employed, pay taxes, raise their own families, and earn their own keep. And they're not likely to be dregs of society with intergenerational dysfunction costing the taxpayers an arm and a leg. And, so if you keep importing third world people into the United States, you're going to bring third world behavior into the United States because the nation is its people. If the United States acquires a third world population, it will become a third world country. And then no one will want to live here, least of all the people from the third world.
You know what, Matt? Many, many times you'll hear these liberals and Democrats and Hollywood and whatnot, and they'll be talking about how immigrants have contributed so much to this country. Those immigrants are the ones you were just talking about. The Europeans, the people that came here many years ago when immigration was something that was a good thing for this country. It brought over some amazing people, and they brought parts of their culture here that actually contributed to the United States of America. It wasn't a detriment, wasn't a burden to the country. It was their cultures. I'm Italian, and I know Italian people that came here brought amazing architecture to this country. And many other things. Science. There are some amazing Italian scientists, Enrico Fermi, that did amazing things. That's what they're talking about, but they want to put that in the time frame of now. That, those amazing immigrants. Well, what about the amazing immigrants we're getting today? We're not. We're getting third world immigrants that are nothing but a burden on every scale, financially, the criminal justice system, the public safety. That's not the same thing. They always want to equate it with the success of immigration from many, many years ago. And it's just not like that anymore, Matt.
Of course not. And it will continue to be the same cesspool that it is today unless we do something active and tangible, and that is overturning the 1965 Immigration Reform and Control Act, otherwise known as the Hart-Celler Act. You have to tear down that legislation. You have to build something else that, again, encourages European immigration. They're the people who are still the majority, a slim majority, but still the majority of the population.
Yeah,
and they're the ones who are most likely to assimilate and contribute, not become parasites and criminals rioting in the streets when a basketball team wins a championship or some other nonsense.
Remember, Matt, you remember the outrage when Donald Trump wanted to bring over those South African farmers as actual refugees because they're being murdered in South Africa. They're a bunch of white South Afrikaners, and they wanted to bring him, he wants to bring him here, less than 100. And there was outrage. Oh, these people he'll allow to come here. But what about the people from Somalia? And what about the people from Pakistan? And they're not allowed? Yeah. How about just, yeah, that's exactly what we're saying. Sure. Unbelievable. Matt, thanks. I got to move on. We're coming up on a quick break, and we'll be back with your calls. Of course, 800-848-9222. And let's see what we got. Elon, I really want to talk about this. Elon Musk became a trillionaire, and the left is losing their minds. Like he is the worst guy. He's sleeping with $1 trillion tucked into his mattress, holding it back from everyone else. That's what Elon Musk is doing. We'll try to straighten it out when we return. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
A lot of sports, a lot of big championships, the World Cup now. Of course, the Knicks winning last night. You want to make that game a little more interesting for yourself, don't you? Well, FanDuel predicts. That's going to help you out. I know it helped me out. I was watching the Germany-Curacao game today, World Cup game. Germany just trounced. They goose-stepped all over Curacao, 7-1. And look, if you had a little money on Germany, you're feeling pretty good right now. And you watched that game and just had a blast. Yeah, you were in it. You had a stake in the game. I didn't even know Curacao did anything except make that blue liqueur, but I digress. Yeah, we're talking about FanDuel Predicts. It's a prediction market, and that means you bet on anything, whatever's going on. That's the beauty of it. The price moves based on what everyone else is thinking. If a bunch of people think something's going to happen, then you might not make as much money off of it if you do win. If a few people think it's going to happen and you jump in there and it does happen, there you go. Economics, what, the price of gold? You could bet on that. And then with the World Cup, you could bet on that, or you could just bet on how many goals are scored, who scored them, how many penalties. That's what's great about FanDuel Predicts. It's not just betting on the game. And it gives you, like I said, a stake in the game. You're much more interested. Like, I couldn't care about the Knicks game. But if I would have had a little wager on it, of course I'm watching. I'm jumping up and down. I'm burning school buses, maybe. How many school buses were going to be burned in Times Square? I said 4. If I would have picked 5, I would have won. I don't think you could have done that. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but FanDuel Predicts. It's one of those. It's one of those feelings you get when you're watching a game and you have a little money on it or anything. Like I said, the price of gold, and you actually win. Yay for me, money in my account. Gotta love it. FanDuel Predicts, offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18 plus, please. Bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with our consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms. FanDuel Predicts. That's right. Get on in that. Let's go to the phones here for a second, because I know the UFC is going on at the White House. People are very excited that Donald Trump's done this, and there was a rain delay, but I guess they're off and running now. John, Rocky Point, New York. What's up?
Hey, Anthony. How you doing? Yeah, well, earlier when you were talking about the White House and what's going on, you were 100% exactly correct. I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I see the motorcycles going flying through the air. I say, oh, shit, what's going on over here?
Oh, you got to watch that language there, John. You got to watch. I had to hang up on John. He said the dreaded S word. The dreaded S word. I think it's pretty funny these days that is still a thing, even on broadcast radio, that you can't say that word. It's like was, the S word. What are you going to do? Let's see. Sandra, she wants to talk about the same thing, though. Trump's little party there.
Yeah, Anthony, I wish you were watching it also.
Well, I'm a little busy, Sandra. Some people are working this evening.
I know. Well, you can tape it when you go home. I'm sure it'll be on YouTube. But it's really so nice to see so many people come, enthusiastic, patriotic. It's amazing how no matter what you think about Trump, he always manages to get a crowd. I got to hand it to him.
Oh, yeah, it's mobbed. And, it's another thing about Trump. No matter what he does, you always see the left and the Democrats just trying to rip them apart for it. This has been a bone of contention with those idiots since it was announced. And what is the problem? And like I said earlier in the show, especially when they have degraded the White House with their sexual degeneracy that they had every Pride Month, and then for
Remember
Christmas they had the same thing. That's disgusting. This is something America enjoys and wants to see. Yeah.
That's right. I was thinking about Biden's little gatherings. What a difference. This is like amazing. And I love wrestling. It's so much fun to watch. So he's loving his little birthday presents, and I love him just like we all do. Well, not all of us.
No, that's for sure.
I know.
No. And we got the 250th anniversary of this country. The 250th birthday on the 4th of July is coming up. All these things that are very patriotic, very pro-America, and the left cannot crap on it enough. They hate it. They hate America. They hate all our traditions, everything that made us great, everything that brought us together so we could say we were Americans, and that wasn't just a line on a map, a border on a map. And they hate it. They don't like us being united as America, as Americans enjoying being Americans. They hate it.
Yeah, I feel like tonight is a continuation of history being written by the citizens. You're right. And they're hating every minute of it. Well, too bad for them. And I love what I'm watching. And I think you'll watch it when you go home, or, when you can. You'll watch it on YouTube. You'll enjoy it. I know you will.
I'll check it out. Thank you, Sandra. I appreciate your call. There you go. See, these are things people enjoy. There's a crowd of people there. It's not a few transgender people and gays, and they're waving their flag around. This is packed. People enjoy this stuff. And believe me, mainstream media will try to lead you to believe that they don't. And this is something that's terrible. And it degrades the sanctity of the White House and all that stuff. It's not true. Mainstream media lies. That's all they do. And, sometimes it's discouraging to listen to it. And you might think, oh, am I wrong? Am I the one that's not seeing things for what they are? Nope. If you hear it from mainstream media, it is BS. Absolutely. I was talking earlier in the show, also brought up Elon. Elon Musk, trillionaire. That is insane. I used to think Jed Clampett was very, very wealthy. Elon puts Jed Clampett from the Beverly Hillbillies to shame. Oh, my God. He had like $100 million, something like that. 1960s money, but apparently some oil was in his ground. But I go off. So Elon Musk, trillionaire. He opened up SpaceX, which is now a publicly traded company from a private company that he built. He's done this with a couple of companies. That's how he made his initial fortune. A lot of people don't know the history behind Elon. He's been a tech entrepreneur for many years, and he's built companies, sold them, used the profit to build more companies, sell them off, use the profit to make the companies he has now. And he has now a worth of a little over $1 trillion. The first trillionaire on Earth is Elon Musk. And I think it's amazing. The usual suspects on the left will tell you this is the worst thing to ever happen. They will tell you you shouldn't be excited or psyched for this. I'm not excited or psyched that Elon Musk has $1 trillion. This is what they don't seem to understand. I'm excited and psyched that there is somebody who is willing to look at some of these industries like space travel and electric vehicles and high-speed internet and do something a little different and have big dreams and make them happen. Steve Jobs was a guy like this too. He did things that people say, well, no, that could never happen. And he said, how about you go screw off and I'm going to make this happen. And it's exciting to have somebody like that alive and doing what he does during your life. Nikola Tesla always comes to mind when I think of people like that. How exciting it is to be alive during a time when somebody who influences the world and changes the world, and you were there to see it as it happened. You could read it in history books like Nikola Tesla. You know, you read that in history books. But you were around for Steve Jobs. You were around for Elon Musk. And that's an amazing thing, watching history happen, history that will be in the books. These people will be remembered forever for their contributions to humanity. And that is something these bastards cannot get through their heads. Either that or they are so good at lying. They have an agenda that they want to get across, and they will lie about every single thing that isn't part of that agenda. So if they know Elon Musk is amazing and everything he's done is amazing, they cannot admit it. They have to go into a quiet, soundproof room and talk about it so no one hears them saying the truth, that this guy is astounding, has done so much for the entire world. We'll get into that when we come back. And, of course, Liz Warren, we'll hear from Liz Warren because she's a little upset with Elon for hoarding so much money, like Darkwing Duck or what was his name? The guy with all the money in that whole duck thing. Scrooge McDuck? Is that his name? I don't know. All right, back in moments. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And talking about Elon Musk becoming the first trillionaire on the planet and what he's done. And the guff, if I may use such harsh language, the guff that the Democrats and the left, the usual suspects, Hollywood, are giving him for having acquired so much wealth. First of all, I don't think they understand what that means. Or again, they're lying, but when they lie, they influence the dummies in this country, the left-wing followers, the cult members, and they get them to believe it. And I honestly think that people believe Elon Musk has $1 trillion all printed up, all stacked up like a movie in warehouses. And every so often he goes there and he lifts the big garage door and he goes, "Mwah," and looks at it. That isn't how it works. Elon has many very successful companies. Elon made SpaceX a publicly traded company. He had an initial public offering for stock. And that's what put him over the $1 trillion mark, because he is a majority shareholder in SpaceX. So the stock price goes up. It's brand new. It's a brand new stock. And they just don't understand that it's equity in the company. This is a company that did the impossible. When I was growing up, NASA was the only thing, the only entity that could put things and people in space. And it was fascinating. I loved everything to do with the space programs of yesteryear. I still love what's going on, especially with Elon at the helm of SpaceX. And it's fascinating. The technology for autonomous vehicles. There doesn't have to be a person in there, and the ships pretty much fly themselves now. They'll put astronauts in one of these Dragon capsules to go up to the space station, but they're really passengers. It's like one of those cabs down in Austin that, what is it, the Waymo cabs that just drive themselves. That's pretty much what he has made space travel now. They get in, everything from the launch to the docking at the space station is all autonomous. And that in and of itself is fascinating. And then when you think it's happening in space, Tesla, you look at Tesla, this is what the left was screaming about for decade upon decade. Fossil fuel is poison. Climate change, global warming, global cooling. And this guy comes up with the first really viable consumer electric vehicle. And that went through the same growing pains as any other company, as any other product. I hate those first few Teslas. There are still some Uber drivers that insist on using them. You sit in the back seat of that thing, you are being rattled. Your teeth are falling out. No suspension. The back seat was like sitting on plywood. But now these things are genuine good vehicles that people seem to enjoy having. The technology in them is not just that they're electric powered, but reclaiming energy through braking. There's so many amazing scientific breakthroughs that have come from Tesla. Breakthroughs that are being used in other industries, helping mankind. Absolutely. Making life better for Earth, the planet. Starlink. This is amazing. Starlink, internet, high-speed internet access for the Earth. Let me fill you in on what other people, what the competition was trying to do when we talk about something like Elon Musk and Starlink. Under the Biden administration, they came up with a plan to get high-speed internet access to the rural areas of the country. You get there, some places in the Midwest and the Rocky Mountains, they just don't have high-speed internet. And the Biden administration was given the task of doing that. And Joe Biden gave the mission to one of his best soldiers. Kamala Harris was given that task. And not only given the task, but given billions of dollars to give internet access, high-speed internet access to rural areas of the United States. Do you know when they left office, not one home was wired with high-speed internet from this program? Not one business, not one house. Billions of dollars. Kamala Harris at the helm. Not one. Elon Musk and Starlink. If you drop out of a plane in the middle of the Sahara Desert, you can have high-speed internet access. With Starlink, it sounds like a commercial. It's not. It's just the fact that it's so amazing. And billions of our tax dollars were wasted with the government trying to do this same thing. Trying to do the same exact thing. And they couldn't do it. We're seeing, I love watching these. There's people, young people that are deciding they are going to row a boat across the Atlantic or take a sailboat, a little one-person sailboat, and sail from California to Hawaii. And you see every day they let people know what's going on from the middle of the ocean because they have Starlink on their boat. They have, Elon also has these neural links that he's working on. It sounds a little dystopian and a little scary because no one wants a a computer chip or any kind of thing put in their head, but these things that they're working on to give blind people the ability to see through Neuralinks, deaf people the ability to hear. This is a guy that is taking some of the most outrageous concepts that were science fiction a few years ago and actually bringing them to life. These things are coming to fruition. And what does the left say? What do the Democrats say? What does Liz Warren have to say? We'll listen to Liz's take on the guy that I just briefly, barely scratched the surface, describing some of the things he's done for the world, because they cannot face that this guy doesn't agree with them. He does not have the same agenda as the left, and they crucify him about taxes. That's the big thing. Hey, the rich, he's a trillionaire. Do you know if he gave 5% of his money to this, that, or the other thing, we could stop hunger. We could educate everybody. We could do this. No, you can't. You know why? You would throw the money away, like the billions of dollars that was supposed to get high-speed internet access to rural America. If only he gave this much money to what? The government as taxes to be wasted and stuffed in pockets and thrown away where no one even knows where it went. That's what the likes of Liz Warren and Bernie Sanders wants to happen to his money, instead of it staying within his companies and under his power. So if he gets another idea, he can make that happen. You're telling a brilliant man who has amazing ways of seeing the future, and he can make these things happen, and you're saying he needs to give his money away because he's not doing enough? This pisses me off. When we come back, we'll listen to Liz Warren talk about Elon Musk. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I was out earlier in Greenville watching the Germany-Curacao match of the World Cup soccer. I'm not a big soccer fan, but, you know, this time of year, the World Cup, you gotta check out a couple of games. And it was 7-1 Germany. And Eric from Orlando has a take on it, I gather. Eric, what's up, man?
Hey, Anthony. Well, I was in my living room with all my German flags surrounding me because Germany has always been my team. And it was pretty much like a repeat of 2014 when they were whooping Brazil's ass in their own turf.
Right.
But the only problem was Germany actually got 5 goals in 28 minutes.
It was crazy. They just kept scoring, yeah. And soccer's not like that. You sit around a lot of times and you don't watch anything being scored till the end of the game. It's crazy.
That, and I actually won $500. And then I called one of my Brazilian friends, and every time a goal came on, or when Germany scored a goal, I played that clip from De Niro from King of Comedy with when he's laughing, saying "That's terrific" over and over.
That's terrific. Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting game. And then I was watching it was Japan and the Netherlands, and I don't know. The Netherlands didn't look like Netherlanders. Japan looked like Japanese people. But Netherlands, I don't know. I don't remember, unless they're getting a lot of sun in the Netherlands these days. But all right, thanks, Eric. Thanks for the call. Little soccer talk. I'm not a big soccer fan, but like I said, it's World Cup. You gotta check out a few games. We were talking about Elon Musk becoming a trillionaire, and the left just can't stop bashing this guy. I need to let you people know what Elon Musk, not only what he does as far as innovating and these companies that he's been doing things that were impossible just a few years ago, and now it's commonplace. I wanted to know what Elon Musk, all the companies that he has, Tesla and SpaceX and Starlink and Boring Company out there in Vegas and Neuralink, and there's so many companies that this guy has, and he employs a lot of people. And the left is constantly bitching that he has to pay his fair share. What's your fair share, Elon Musk? Do you know Elon last year paid less taxes than a teacher or a police officer? Do you understand how that works, too? I don't think they do. When you have companies, multi-gazillion dollar companies, $1 trillion worth of companies now, you don't fill out your H&R Block tax form and go, I made $1 trillion. Taxable income, $1 trillion. I think they believe this. And at the end, you're supposed to pay, 50% of $1 trillion. I wrote out my check for $500 billion to U.S. Treasury. It doesn't work that way. Elon Musk's personal tax, his personal taxes that he pays, is based on how much he pays himself. From what we know of Elon Musk, does it look like he's a guy that lives a lavish lifestyle? Does he look like a guy that's out with Hollywood celebrities and driving Bentleys and no, private jets everywhere? Where's Elon this week? Oh, he's in Paris. Oh, he's in Montenegro at a casino. He lives the most normal guy lifestyle. He likes staying home and playing video games. I could appreciate that. And when you do that, you pay yourself a salary. He could literally, I don't know what it is, but he could quite literally say, I make $200,000 a year. That's how much I make. He just needs to pay taxes on that. And then he's got his deductions, his T-shirts, his sneakers, his blue jeans. That's it. So when they say he pays less taxes than a nurse, yeah, on his personal income tax. Now, the corporate taxes, those pay more than anyone in history has ever paid in taxes. Elon Musk, his companies, more taxes than anyone in history has ever paid in taxes in this country. And they just want more blood. They want more blood. And not only that, here's a very interesting thing that a lot of people, especially on the left, don't ever consider. With all the companies that Elon has, what's the approximate tax revenue generated by all of his employees? They're paying taxes. He pays them. They pay taxes. So not only his taxes, his corporate taxes, but every one of his employees. The number is roughly, and it's a pretty big gap here, but $10 to $20 billion a year. That is his employees paying their taxes. If there wasn't SpaceX, Tesla, Starlink, these people would have jobs, I guess, but maybe they wouldn't. His company's employees are generating $10 to $20 billion for the government. And he's just, what a piece of garbage he is. Where's his fair share? They always talk about the fair share. Here's Liz Warren. This is a AC2. Here she is. Of course, she's got to open her yap about this. She's got to have her hand in everyone's pocket. She's got to know what everyone's making and how they're making it. How did she make multi-million dollars on a on her salary? Huh? What's she been doing? But Elon, he's the problem. So here's Liz Warren talking about Elon becoming a trillionaire.
Elon Musk is officially the world's first trillionaire. Think about that. We're living at a time when more and more people are just hanging on by their fingernails to survive in this economy. And Elon Musk has more money and more wealth than anyone in human history. I want to be clear. This is not just some fluke. It is a feature of a rigged economy. Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill cut health care for millions of Americans to give guys like Elon bigger tax breaks. The tax code rewards CEOs for firing workers and replacing them with AI. Loopholes have allowed Jeff Bezos to pay an effective tax rate lower than a Boston public school teacher. And we are left with a country where a handful of billionaires at the top pop champagne in their $300 million yachts, while working people take on even more shifts to try to pay off their student loan debt. The top 1% of U.S. earners now have more wealth than the entire middle class.
How much are they paying the top 1%?
Tax code. We need a wealth tax. And it's about time that corporations paid their fair share.
Fair share.
Today's marker should be a wake-up call that enough is enough. Time to make change.
Ugh. Shut up. That's all I have to say to her. Shut up. Ugh. Imagine if you tax wealthy business owners, successful even, like Elon, and you want to tax him more, they will take whatever you taxed and fire some of their employees. How about that? How about those people that are giving $20 to $30 billion a year into the tax revenue? How about they're gone now? And Elon is still paying what he paid, but now those people are out of work, because that's how it works. That's how it has to work in order to keep the business running at the level it's running. You can't tax companies without them offsetting the cost of the tax by firing people, cutting down on benefits, whatever it may be, putting out a more inferior product that the people now have to pay more money for and deal with the product that isn't as good as it was. That's what they think the good thing to do is. Instead of not being mad at Elon Musk for being a trillionaire, and why do you think he's a trillionaire? Loopholes? Tricks? Pulling something behind everyone's back? Or is he running companies that people are very happy with? And the company's very successful. Tesla, it's a very successful car company. I believe it's the most successful car company in the country right now. More than Ford, Chevy, Dodge, all of them. And the amount of people that are employed, the amount of people that are happy with the product, the innovation, again, the kind of peripheral things that the world gets from having successful tech companies like this. There's no money amount. There's no price you could put on that. But, you know, it must be, what she call them, loopholes. You make the laws. Does this idiot and her cronies understand you're the ones that make the tax laws? If Elon Musk was doing anything illegal with his taxes, You know damn well these people would have thrown him in prison. They never say he's doing something illegal. They say he should pay his fair share. They make the laws. They've made the laws forever. They've been talking about this for years. They've been in control of the presidency, the House, and the Senate. Why haven't they changed the laws to eliminate these tax loopholes for the rich? Huh. Wow. That's some question. Could it be that their donors and their cronies and everyone else doesn't want them to change the tax system and how it works and how the loopholes are available to hold as much money as they can? And I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing. Like I said, rich companies do amazing things for people. Sure, there's greed and, people that should have more money, should be getting paid more money. And the management is greedy and they take their money. I know that happens, of course. But for the most part, these companies are making a lot of money and they're putting their money back into the companies. You think it's cheap to launch a rocket to a space station and bring stuff up there, people, supplies? You think it's cheap to design a spaceship to go to Mars? That costs money. Oh, we don't need to go to Mars. There are people starving here. Oh, we don't need to go to the space station. We don't need to do this. Again, short-sighted idiots that don't understand how much technology comes out of these programs like the Musk's space program and helps us right down here on Earth. So many things we use and have used for years, decades, were directly because of the space program and NASA at first. And then with private companies jumping on that whole thing and Elon Musk with the SpaceX, all this technology that's being used to put rockets in space is being used in so many aspects of our lives down here. But tax them to death. Why? So we could shell more money out to people that don't deserve it? So we could send more of it overseas to countries that can't stand us? So we could import third worlders to commit fraud in our cities? For that, I don't trust them with a dime. Never mind billions of Elon Musk's dollars. I'd rather have him keep the money and do what he's doing, because it seems to be helping Americans and the world indirectly. So I don't know what the likes of Liz Warren and Bernie Sanders and company want out of someone like Elon Musk. They don't understand how much of an asset he's been to this country. Unbelievable. Richie, Bronx, what's up, man? Richie.
Good evening, Anthony.
What's happening?
A few minutes ago, you described the Tesla as being a viable electronic vehicle.
Yeah.
I would like to ask how long it takes to recharge a Tesla from empty to full.
It depends on what type of charger you're using. A household charger on 110 isn't going to be as good as one of the chargers that are specifically meant for a Tesla and 220. It's part of the electric vehicle. What are you laughing at?
I'm not laughing.
You sound like you were laughing at me. The batteries are obviously the big sticky wicket in electric vehicles, always have been, in electric everything. And the batteries, just in the time that Tesla's been around, have gotten so much better than they used to be. And they'll continue to get better. It's not perfect, but as far as electric vehicles go, Tesla's number one by far over any other car company.
Well, I would say that until it takes only a few minutes, like as long as it takes a gasoline car to fill up. Until it takes that amount of time to recharge an electric vehicle from empty to full, no electric vehicle will be viable.
Well, it's viable to people that can take time to charge their vehicle. Some people, it doesn't matter to them. They could drive around within the limits of the charge, get back home, plug it back in, and they're good to drive to work, drive to the store again. So in those cases, yes, if you're driving cross country, if it's a truck having to haul heavy stuff over great distances, then they have to still work on that. But they are working on it. Every car they sell is another car out there to help them learn what needs to be done to make it better. That's because it's such new innovation. Hey, airplanes were the same thing. When airplanes were first around, you had to stop 5-6 times before you could cross the country to refuel. You couldn't fly through weather. It's the more you use these things, the more they're built and incorporated into our daily lives, the better they get. And I think Elon has done a great job with technology like Steve Jobs had done with the iPhone. Thank you, Richie. He goes, Richie. Did I sound paranoid? I thought he was laughing at me. Are you laughing? You're laughing at me. They'll all laugh at you. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, love him or hate him. I know there are people that can't stand this guy. There are people that say he didn't do anything. He fell into the... You don't fall into $1 trillion. I'll tell you that right now. There are some BS artists that can work up a few $1 million, even $100 million. You don't make $1 trillion by BSing and go, oh boy, I hope they don't catch on to me that I'm just kind of walking around. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not. This guy is the genuine article. Let's be real. CNN had a bit of an issue. Thank God for Scott Jennings. I love Scott Jennings over there at CNN, the one voice of reason. They put him in the snake pit with these imbeciles, idiots, morons, and he's the only one that speaks back to them out of their bubble and gives them a little common sense, a little knowledge. So CNN was melting down, of course, over Elon's $1 trillion. And Scott Jennings set him straight. It's a pretty fun clip. AC3.
Should be some checks and balances in this society. People should not be allowed to have $1 trillion. No human needs that much money.
Allowed
do you
needs
think that these ultra wealthy people, I'm not talking about people with 10, 15, 20, even $100 million. I'm talking about people who are approaching $1 trillion. Do you think that there's more that they should be doing to give back to the societies that helped them get rich? Elon Musk and SpaceX benefited from tens of millions of dollars in government contracts and deals that allowed them to become the company that they are today. Should they be doing, Bakari, can I?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Scott, do you think that they should be doing more?
I think it's up to them. I think that many of them, and Arthur mentioned one, they do a lot. But it's not for me or you or any of us here to tell someone else what to do with what they earned.
Governments do that every
Yep.
single day. It's called taxes.
Yeah, I know. And the rich people in this country pay the vast majority of taxes. And I hear people today saying, oh, it's time that we tax the rich. Folks, I got news for you. We already tax the rich. They pay the vast majority of tax. And I think Elon Musk is the single largest taxpayer in America. And he'll be even bigger now. But is it for us to sit around and say there's a limit on what you can build, there's a limit on what you can earn, and it's now my job to tell you what to do with your money? Hell no.
But Scott, let me...
Hell no. Exactly. And the government subsidies that Elon has gotten for his companies, what do they think? That the government's a bank? We're not a bank, Jerry. They're not a bank. What do you think they're getting out of it? They give Elon subsidies for these companies because They're betting that Elon can build a company that can make money and hire people to pay taxes. They're not just doing that out of the kindness of their heart, the United States government. Oh, let's give him some money so he could build this up. Oh, let's give him a tax break so he could build this. Why? Well, he seems nice. They're betting on him being successful, which he has been, and they make that money back in taxes and other things, like I said, that Elon has given to the world. But they just don't seem to understand that. No one, how do we allow someone to make $1 trillion? No one needs $1 trillion. How about you go screw? Who are they to say what anyone needs and what they should be allowed to have? And what the other thing they said, what he should be doing with that money? What? Who the hell are you to tell him or anyone else what they should be doing with that money? He has done, I've said it before, he's done amazing things with his companies. They don't ever take that into consideration. They look at it like he's a cash cow. What he should be doing, do you know how many people have internet access, which is life or death in a lot of countries in Africa, which have no internet over there? I mean, unless you're in the city in Nigeria, perhaps. But there are a lot of places that don't have internet access, so they don't have any communication with the outside world. And because he's not giving money, he's not giving back. The question, don't you think he should give back? He's not. He's giving people amazing innovation, amazing things. But the only thing they see is money. Where's your cash? Fork it over. Give me your wallet. They're robbing you. This is what they do. Run your pockets, Elon. Run your pockets. And that's where we are with these people. Like I said before, they're either lying or they're morons. There isn't another choice there. They are one or both of those two things. Liars that they don't want to say the truth about Elon, or morons and they can't see this guy has done more for the world in this century than I believe anyone else. Back in a minute.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Thanks for popping in with us on this Sunday evening. Hope you're having a great tail end of your weekend. And, got to bring up Jimmy Kimmel also in this Elon Musk thing, because he got on his show. No one would know this from watching the show. All these late night shows, it's just clips. People find the clips, they play the clips, and that's the only way anyone sees what they're doing. I guarantee you, no one is watching. No one is watching these shows. Maybe a few old, hoarders. They're in a house full of newspaper and garbage and dead cats, and they're watching an old black and white Zenith television. Somehow, even in the digital age, it's getting snow. It's all fuzzy. That's the only people I can imagine watching. Maybe they're dead. Maybe it's a skeleton. They died decades ago, and they're just sitting there watching Jimmy Kimmel. He had a problem, of course, with Elon and the liberal D-bag that he is, and catering to his liberal D-bag audience in the studio, I mean, not the dead guy sitting on his couch. He's got a problem with Musk. He calls him the wealthy weirdo. Get it? And says that the newly minted trillionaire is stealing from us. So he's a weirdo who's stealing from the people. He said, what makes it even more unsettling is that this man, our first trillionaire, the richest man in the world, is also one of the weirdest people we've ever seen on this planet. Really? One of the weirdest. You know, I do understand some geniuses tend to be a little eclectic. I think Nikola Tesla, who, by the way, I think the single most influential person as far as what we use on a daily basis, Nikola Tesla was the inventor. He came up with those ideas out of his head and brought them forth for us to use. You think the world was going to work on that stupid Edison direct current? Oh, please. It's Tesla's alternating current. That is the future, people. Watch us electrocute an elephant. on a side tangent, do you know they actually did that? Thomas Edison, who wanted to be the guy that supplied electricity to the people of America, and starting out in the big cities, of course, in Menlo Park. He wanted to be the guy, and he wanted his direct current to be the current that was used. Tesla was all about alternating current, which is what we use to this day in our houses and businesses. And Edison and his ilk said that alternating current is far too dangerous. Far too dangerous. So in order to make a point of how dangerous alternating current was, they took an elephant and wired him up with alternating current and electrocuted him in public. The poor elephant, and just watched him die and smoke and said, "See? This is what alternating current does to you people. This is not the future." And now here we are with alternating current. Little history lesson from Anthony Cumia. Thank you very much. He says, what makes it even more unsettling is this man is our first trillionaire, the richest man on the planet. He's also the weirdest guy. This obscenely wealthy weirdo has the ability and means to blow up the moon if he chooses, and also to put a lot of other people's money in his pockets. What? How? Why? What? So then the story says he went from the initial IPO price of $135 a share. It escalated to $175 a share and made the company worth over $2 trillion. And here's what Jimmy Kimmel has to say about that. Kimmel said Musk paid almost no federal income tax over the past 3 years. Yeah, Elon Musk personally, himself. And referencing his move from the U.S. To the U.S. from South Africa in 1995, this is just the funniest. You know, for a guy who has been openly cheering immigrants getting kicked out of the country for stealing from us, sure seems like an immigrant who's been stealing from us to me. Hilarious, right? So obviously, talking about illegals coming to this country and the fraud that was perpetrated by the Somalis up in Minnesota and all that stuff when Elon was part of Doge with the government cutting back on redundant jobs and all that, saving the taxpayers' money. And he has to equate the fact that Elon's an immigrant. He came here from South Africa as a legal immigrant. And he's trying to make a connection between illegals that come here or legal immigrants from Somalia who are nothing but a burden on the country. And when they do open a business, it's just to perpetrate fraud against the American taxpayers. That's the same as a guy who built amazing, innovative tech companies and has helped mankind and employs people to the tune of billions of dollars in tax revenue. I don't know why I let myself get worked up like this. I really don't. Kevin from the beach of Long in New York. What's up?
How you doing, Ant?
Good.
Yeah, you know, people don't talk about the 4,400 instant millionaires that are in his employ.
Right.
Who didn't get paid when SpaceX first started, so he gave them stock options, and now they're multimillionaires, all 4,400.
What a great point. What an American success story that is. There are employees of SpaceX that, because SpaceX was on such a shoestring budget back when they were starting up, a lot of failures, a lot of crashed rockets. There were employees that Elon needed and said, look, can't pay you a lot now, but when we go public, and even when they were private, they did divide up some stock options for these people. And when they went public with the IPO, these people, over 4,000 people, became millionaires. These are people that working Americans. These weren't upper echelon management. These are maintenance guys, technicians, mechanics, that because they believed in this guy and what he was doing, made millions of dollars in 2026 now. They're millionaires because of what Elon Musk did. So, you know, Kevin, these people like Liz Warren and Bernie Sanders and Chuck Schumer, they could all go screw.
That's right. Go screw, as you used to say all the
time. Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. Awesome, man. Yeah, I forgot that part. Damn. Imagine that. You go to work for someone, you're working there for years, you're doing all right, the company starts taking off, and then one day you wake up and you're a millionaire because of that guy and that company and everything that all the employees did together. Just amazing. Just amazing. There was, I think, from last Sunday to now, a few things have transpired. Of course, the Carmelo Anthony case came to a conclusion with a conviction of Carmelo Anthony for murder and a 35-year prison sentence. And it's so good to see the country come together as one and agree that our judicial system did the right thing. And what? Huh? Hold it. I'm hearing something about. Oh, I'm hearing. I don't know what the F I'm talking about. It's incredibly divided on racial lines, and some people are, what's the word? Retarded? Oh my God, you shouldn't use that word. It's very offensive. Yeah. So we saw what happened. We saw as much of the trial as we could because it wasn't being broadcast through independent reporters mostly. And we got to hear what the testimony was, what the evidence was. And anyone of right mind, anyone with any ability for reasonable deduction understood that that was not a self-defense case. There was not one witness that got up there that convinced the jury that if they were sitting there in that seat that Carmelo Anthony was sitting in, that they would have to kill Austin Metcalf to walk away from that situation. Because that's really what the defense had to do. They had to convince that jury that in order for them in that same situation to stand up and walk away from that alive, Austin Metcalf had to die. And the jury was like, you have not given me anything to even consider killing someone in that situation because my life depended on him being dispatched before I was. That's why it was the lousiest self-defense case I've ever seen. And people are losing their mind because they just can't get a grip on this kid killed another kid for no reason. Pride, maybe. He didn't like that he was being disrespected. It certainly wasn't because any reasonable thinking person would believe in the same circumstance that their life was in imminent danger of being taken. That's why the verdict was guilty. And the fact that it was guilty of murder and not manslaughter is because he meant to do grave bodily harm to Austin Metcalf. You don't stab someone in the chest and think, well, I'm just going to, Just going to give him a little cut. If he would have cut him on the cheek, or even if he would have cut him on the neck and said, oh, I meant to just put a scar on his cheek. He thrust the knife dead center into Austin Metcalf's chest. I think you mean to kill someone when you do that. We'll get back to this because I have a few other things that have come up over the course of the week since the verdict. And your calls when we return.
This is the Anthony Cumia Show. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know, people were complaining, obviously people that are supporting Carmelo, the murderer, are saying that the trial went too fast, so it must have been some kind of a setup. It must have been some kind of, everyone's in on it, the judge and this one. I would love if trials went that fast. Do you know how we'd free up the court system if trials went that fast? If you could run a murder trial in a week, what are we doing with taking forever for assault trials and this one and that one? Let's get them in and out. Get them done. So the conviction and the sentencing of Carmelo Anthony came down, and he's in prison as we speak, and some people are none too happy about it. I've been going through social media and seeing people threatening, white people need to be singled out and beaten. This was a miscarriage of justice. It's just more of the same systemic racism. It runs the gamut. And then there's the outright lies that never happened in the courtroom. There are people trying to say that the judge, the prosecutor, and Austin Metcalf's father knew each other. There's a picture of the three of them playing golf. Do you know what AI is? We used to have to Photoshop things. It took some talent to make it look good. It was very difficult to Photoshop something and really make it look authentic. But nowadays, with AI, do you honestly think the judge, the prosecutor, and Jeffrey Metcalf were golfing together? No. A lot of people are falling for a lot of lies backed up by AI. They don't do their own research to try to find out. They do enough research until something matches exactly what they want it to match, and then they go online and talk about it like an expert. And Carmelo Anthony murdered Austin Metcalf. A jury found him guilty. Oh, it was an all-white jury. No, it wasn't. It was a jury of white, Hispanic, and Asian men and women. Well, there weren't any black people on the jury. Yeah. They all were excluded because they could not say they wouldn't be unbiased. They were going to have a bias if they sat on that jury because of, I don't know, maybe an experience that they had that was similar, maybe based on nothing but skin color. One of the prospective black jurors had said something to the effect of, I couldn't put a brother behind bars. And another one said he looked so young. They said you legally, the prosecution is able to go, yeah, I don't want that person on the jury. There wasn't a trick. This is legal protocol. When a jury is being chosen, the defense and the prosecution have exemptions that they can make based on a number of things. One thing you can't make an exception of is race. You also can't include someone just because of their race. But, you hear from some people on social media, and it's all about race. He got railroaded. He's innocent. It was self-defense. He was jumped by 4 people. I have never seen such consistent testimony from so many different witnesses in this trial. Every defense or prosecution witness that was called up had the same story, and not the same story like it was written down and recited. They were all around the area, under the tent, next to the tent where this happened. And they all had the same story. This guy came in, sat down. Some people say someone greeted him when he was coming to the tent and said, "Oh, this guy." Other people didn't know him from a hole in the wall. The Metcalf brothers hadn't even come into the tent yet. And he sits down, and the Metcalfs get there, and they say, "Who's this guy?" They probably looked around the tent. They recognized people from their school and go, "Who's this guy sitting over there?" "Yeah, he's got to go." "Oh, it's raining." "Oh, well, kill him then. I guess you can murder someone if it's raining," and they tell you to get out and go into the rain. All these things that kept coming up, all the distractions, the smoke and mirrors. Was he invited? Did Austin Metcalf have authority to tell him to leave? Was he allowed in the tent? All that meant nothing. Nothing. It went in one ear of the jury and out the other, because the important part was, did Carmelo Anthony feel like his life was in immediate threat of being taken away? Did he have to kill Austin Metcalf, or he himself would have been killed? That's it. Oh, a knife. Was it allowed on school grounds? How big was the tent? Did he know someone in there? Nothing mattered. That was inconsequential, static noise. But it's of galactic import to supporters of Carmelo Anthony. Oh, he was allowed to have that knife. Oh, good. Was he allowed to thrust it into his chest? I say no. Oh, he was invited into the tent. Oh, so when you're invited somewhere, you can stab someone in the chest? I guess that's a new law I wasn't aware of. All of it is such smoke and mirrors and distraction from the major point that Carmelo Anthony murdered Austin Metcalf. And now we're getting people from the black community saying that white people need to be taught a lesson for this, that they want to go around. We've seen a couple of instances of black people going around punching white people and saying, "Were you on the jury? Weren't you on the Carmelo Anthony jury?" So these things go on, and nothing's done about it. Nothing's said about it. Why? Why can't we talk about this? Why can't we say, no, that's wrong, you're wrong, and if you threaten violence against white people because a murderer was convicted, you deserve some type of consequence, repercussions, legal, or if you're out there on the streets trying to dispatch somebody because you support Carmelo Anthony, maybe things won't work out so well for you. This is just life. This is how it happens. But I was surprised by the number of people that just based on skin color alone supported Carmelo Anthony, when all the evidence pointed to he murdered Austin Metcalf. This wasn't self-defense. This wasn't an accident. The gall when they said that he may have impaled himself on Carmelo Anthony's knife. I heard the jury audibly gasped when the lawyer put that scenario forward, because it was so out there and so insulting to the family. No, he murdered him. and now he's going to pay in prison. And if you think there's going to be some kind of an appeal process, I think you're sadly mistaken. You're going to be as disappointed as you were with the outcome of the trial. There were no problems with this case. It went through like it was supposed to. And, you can keep wishing and hoping. It ain't going to happen. He's a murderer, 35 years. We'll be back.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The UFC event at the White House, and I haven't listened to it, but I just see Bob De Niro there. He goes, "Good evening, everyone who couldn't get tickets to the White House cage fights." Ugh. Oh, God, imagine the bore fest that is. Here's a lesbian comedian. I wouldn't want to be at the UFC fight at the White House. Let me listen to some lesbian tell some jokes and an ancient Bob De Niro further destroy his legacy. Great. Sounds fun. Here's Chris and Beth Page. Chris.
Hey, Anthony. Before I get to the Carmelo Anthony thing, I got to say, 30 years ago, by far, my favorite rock and roll performer was Bruce Springsteen, and my favorite actor was Robert. And my favorite actor was Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
What has happened to those two demented people? I mean, they literally, there's something really wrong with both those guys. I mean, really wrong. So
I believe every liberal has some type of mental illness. Some of them have it worse than others. I think these liberals that go in front of the ICE facilities that are holding facilities for illegals, I think they're all like severely mentally and emotionally damaged. But Bruce, De Niro, they have some kind of mental illness.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this too, Anthony. I went to high school. I'm really good friends still to this day with Rosie O'Donnell's cousin. Okay, great guy. I used to see her when she did stand-up when she was like 21, 22 at Chuckles in Mineola, if you remember that club.
Yeah, Chuckles in Mineola, East Side Comedy Club in Huntington. Yep. Yeah,
but anyhow, and I met her a couple times. She was a normal person. Now she's completely demented. But anyhow,
the reason
I'm sorry. The reason I called, though, was about the Carmelo Anthony. So have you ever had the pleasure to go on TikTok? They have these like panels where you can go up, you request to get up, and you discuss whatever topic that you have.
Oh, yeah. It's like X has spaces. It's kind of the same thing. I get what you mean.
Yeah. So anyhow, I had the pleasure of going on there yesterday, okay? They were talking about the Carmelo Anthony case. Now, you cannot for the life of you believe what they believe. And most of them, No, and most of them are black. So I'm trying to have a discussion with them. I go, can we just have a logical discussion about this whole thing? And they go, fine. So the second I start bringing up facts, this is what they believe. They believe that Carmelo Anthony was invited by a friend of his who into the tent. He was invited in. This is what they believe. And he went and sat down and was talking to the guy. And then, okay, if you can believe this, practically half the football team came over. Like these big,
right.
No, really, this is what they're saying. Came over and they're like, "What are you doing here? Get out of here!" And immediately, like because they're all racist. So then I tried to make the point. I go, "Wait. Those guys are racist, but was his friend white or black that invited him in?" And they said, "Oh, we believe he was white." I go, "Okay, so at least there wasn't one racist in there. At least he had a friend."
Right, he invited him in.
He invited him in, and then they said, and then one of them was yelling at me. She's like, "Have you ever been pushed? If you get pushed, what happens?" I swear to God, this is what goes on with.
Yeah, I've been pushed, and I didn't return with a knife and stab someone after I was pushed. They don't understand. That's not self-defense.
Anthony, you know what I said? I go, I've taken the subway for 40 years, and I'm not kidding around. Not just pushed. I've gotten really getting on the train, like someone would come from behind and just get PO'd at you and just push in the back because you cut them off, really bad. Did I take out a knife and turn around and stab the guy? You know what I'm saying? I've been pushed many times. So, and then they go, oh, another thing they said is he didn't have really. It wasn't a knife. It was like a multi.
No, it was a
thing.
knife.
No. But listen, this is what they're telling you.
This is what they say, right?
This is what they say. This is how demented they are, and they all agree with it on the panel. And I'm the only one going against them, like 8 of them. I'm telling you. So they're telling me that no. He goes. Do you ever have like a corkscrew when you have to like, it's like a multi-purpose thing. So he carried a multi-purpose thing on him, okay? And then when he felt threatened by the whole football team, I'm telling you, this is what they all believe. The whole football team was pushing him, and he got up and he was afraid, and he just pulled out the multi-purpose thing that he happened to have with him, and he just stabbed him right in the heart. So then I said, okay, you know what's weird? Where was the friend, like defending, the friend that invited him in? In other words, wouldn't the friend say to the whole football team, hey, guys, I invited him in. That's why.
Right. Chill out. He's my friend.
Yeah.
He could stay. No, none of that.
Yeah. The only reason I said is because, so what they do, Anthony, and they're very effective, and I'm never going on it again, they mute you. So when you try to respond to something, they immediately mute you. And then they start telling you that you're a white racist.
Of course, it's the same tactic that the entire left uses. Democrats use it. The left uses it. The mental patients that protest use it. And Black Lives Matter use it. And anyone of limited intelligence, they don't want to hear you speak. You might come up with something that convinces someone else of what you're saying, and they can't have that because they can't debate people. They can't engage in lively debate. They need to silence anyone that's saying something they don't agree with or any point they want to get across. I've seen it 1,000 times, man.
I know. So, and the only thing I was saying, and they kept muting me, was I was going down the whole friend angle. That was their big thing, that the friend invited him in. So he didn't just wander in there. The friend invited him in. So
and even that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter who invited him in. He was sitting there, and Austin Metcalf wanted him to leave. Everyone else could have loved Carmelo Anthony and wanted him to stay. Doesn't matter. Austin Metcalf wanted him to leave. He says, can you leave? Get up and leave 15 times. Then he puts his hand on his shoulder, gives him a little push. It's been called a gentle push, a shove. He does that and says, leave, and then gets stabbed in the chest and he dies. That's it. That's all you need to friggin' know about this case.
I know. And then before they cut me off, they said, because my point was very simply this, is I wanted to explore the friend angle. I go, you keep talking about this friend that was invited him in. I go, first of all, Carmelo Anthony went to a different school. And supposedly they had a tent over there. He could have gone to that tent. And that's what these kids were telling him. They were like, hey, why don't you go to your opposing...
They didn't have a tent is what happened. His school didn't have a tent, didn't bring one. But again, static, doesn't matter. He had a tent. He didn't have a tent. He was in their tent. He sat down. He felt disrespected and killed a boy. That's it. And they don't want to hear that part. Chris, I got to move on, but thanks for the call. There is facts. There are facts that they don't want to hear because they rip apart the scenario that they want to put in place. Because that's exactly what happened. He went into the tent. He was told to leave. He didn't leave. When he was approached by Austin, he stabbed Austin Metcalf. There you go. That's the whole case. Anyone adding anything to it is just trying to bamboozle you. And they've made such a racial thing about this that it had to be racism. Isn't it amazing that every single thing is racism? George Floyd and Derek Chauvin, that was racism. George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin, that was racism. Even, what's his name? Kyle from the protest, the Black Lives Matter protest, whatever the hell his last name is. He didn't even shoot any black people. He shot white guys. Racism. Mike Brown, racism. Hands up, don't shoot. That never happened. There's never one instance where there's an altercation between a white person or a Hispanic person and a black person, where it isn't racism, that the black person may have had some responsibility in how it ended up? Never. It's constant racism. You know, I've heard, oh, this is Jim Crow all over again. There was a woman that actually in front of the courthouse after the verdict said, we are watching a modern day lynching. Lynching? He's the one that's alive. The white kid's dead. The black kid's alive and convicted of murder. How is that a lynching? But, you know, they love bringing up, and they're dumb white liberal women. They're defenders. Because white liberal women love treating black people like they're pets. So they're the ones that jump right in and go, this is racist. And they hate their whiteness and they want to be a good ally to black people. So they just lie right along with them. And it's embarrassing more than anything. I'm on social media all the time, watching, listening to the videos and whatnot. And the emotion I get, even more so than anger, is embarrassment. Because how do you not see what's happening? And how do you blame everything on racism, systemic racism, oppression, xenophobia 200 years ago, 600 years ago? How do you use that as a universal excuse? Especially in this era, 2026 and a few years before, maybe the past decade, where we are seeing an increase in horrific behavior. Teen, they get like a teen gathering, as Brendan Johnson has called it. These are gatherings. The teen gatherings. Why are these things still happening? How is no one in any of these cities where this is happening all the time doing anything about it? Well, they're petrified to do anything about it because they have to say, all right, let's look at who's doing this. And then when you realize the vast majority are young black kids, then you're really between a rock and a hard place. Now you got to go, all right, why? Why are these teen riots and fights and everything else predominantly, overwhelmingly young black people? Well, now you've opened up a can of worms, haven't you? Because now you got to go through quite a few things as to why this might happen. And the things might be illegitimacy, drug use, parents that aren't doing anything, if there even are parents in the mix, the education system that has taken away any form of discipline because they decided discipline was racist. These are all the reasons why no one wants to even discuss these teen takeovers. They're happening everywhere. And then they change the rules of wherever the venue is that they're destroying. And why are they doing that? Because they can't single out the group of people that are perpetrating these assaults and vandalism and whatnot. Amusement parks. This summer, everyone wants to go to a water park. Six Flags, great adventure in Jersey. They got Six Flags amusement parks all over the country. And every single one of them now, everyone under 18 years of age has to have a chaperone, a parent or guardian. And only 5 at a time can be chaperoned by any one adult. And it's all because of teen takeovers, which consist of young black men and women, boys and girls, just wreaking havoc on these places. So now no one gets to go to an amusement park with their friends without the parents. You know how important that was growing up? To be in your teens and you finally grew up enough to take one of your buddies' vehicles He's 18. He's got a car. Your friends are 17, 18. And you can drive to the amusement park, Great Adventure, by yourself with no parents. It was part of growing up. Now you can't do it. Why? Because one group of people can't keep their crap in order. There's no authority that could tell them what they cannot do in these places. Every city, Chicago, every weekend, and sometimes on the weekdays. Teen takeover. And what does Brandon Johnson do? Nothing. Oh, we're gonna have the YMCA open up for until midnight, so these youngsters could go to the YMCA. Do you think any of these thugs want to go to the YMCA? They want to go out on the street. They want to cause trouble. They want to get their stripes by beating the crap out of someone or busting up a business. If they wanted to go into the YMCA in the first place, they wouldn't be getting into trouble. They'd be nice kids. No one is going to the YMCA in Chicago, Brandon Johnson. You know what you need to do? Get the cops to go out there and start dealing out some consequence of action to these kids, these teens, these rambunctious youth that are tearing up your city and making it impossible for civil citizens to enjoy the city this summer. It's going to be a hot summer, and man, oh man, does that mean trouble. But he won't do anything. Open up the doors of the YMCA until midnight. You know what you're going to get? A bunch of gay guys taking showers together. I got to be honest. The Village People wrote a little song about it. I'd like to play it for you now. Here it go. It's not going to work. It's insane. Holy moly. Sal, Jersey, what's up, Sal?
Hello, Anthony. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man.
Anthony, this whole thing with Carmelo Anthony goes to prove that blacks can be very malicious and evil towards whites. This whole nonsense we've heard for so many years, for the past 40, 50, maybe even 60 years, that, it's impossible for black people to be racist because black people don't have the economic wherewithal and whatever the hell else. But
you need
nonsense.
power and you have to be part of the economy and everything, which is such nonsense. You could be racist. Believe me. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, because I remember growing up in Jersey City, New Jersey in the early 70s, and black kids would come up to me and yell out right to my face, "Black is beautiful, white is crap." And actually, they used a much harsher term.
Yeah.
I remember that very well.
Yeah, it happened. I remember I lived in Central Islip out on Long Island, and, there was no love lost between the black and the white student body over there at Central Islip schools. I'll tell you that much. Sal, thank you, man. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. You could call people racist for bringing it up. You could say that, obviously it's not everybody. We get it. No one's pointing out problems in the black community is saying that it's everybody. You got to be an idiot to say, it's every single person in the black community. But there is an insane, disproportionate number that seem to be incredibly racist and hateful toward white people and are willing to resort to violence to, get through that, to satisfy that thirst for hate. And it happens. It's happening a lot. Back in a minute.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's Bob De Niro at the counter programming that the liberals put together for the UFC White House brawls. And here is Robert De Niro talking about Trump and the country. He apparently doesn't love the country anymore. How about you leave? Let's listen to Bob De Niro.
Later, the letter stated, regardless of our political affiliation or whether we engage in politics or not, we all love our country. Still with me? Not so fast. The phrase, we all love our country, stuck in my throat. Because our country isn't so lovable right now.
Ugh.
I hate to say it, but loving our country is starting to sound like an abused spouse saying they love their abuser.
Woo! All these friggin' hens.
I can't love a country that starts stupid and inhumane wars.
Woo!
Killing thousands of innocents and indirectly causing the deaths and suffering of millions more. I can't love a country that takes health care away from millions of people and uses
they can't clap
that
enough.
money to enrich their pals in the Trump-Epstein class.
Trump-Epstein class.
I can't love a country that sends out masked militias to shoot citizens in the streets, torture our neighbors, and separate families.
What? Obviously talking about ICE.
I can't love a country that's led by a racist, misogynist, xenophobic tyrant. And let me just say it. I can't love the country that's led by Donald Trump.
Wow. What a guy. Bob De Niro. The same old crap coming out of him. Masked, marauders, masked death squads, masked... Again, zero responsibility. You try to run over ICE agents, you're going to get shot in the face. Sorry. Don't do it, and you won't get shot in the face. If you're carrying a gun, don't get into a physical altercation with the police. How about that? That's another good rule of thumb, unless you're an idiot. But they're dividing families. They're trying to get out illegal invaders that were let in by your buddy Joe Biden, who you're starting to sound like. And then they're just applauding. We have a collection of jackasses in this country. Just a giant collection of jackasses. Hollywood. Oh, if I had it with Hollywood. That was one of the worst parts of the Knicks games, the ones at the Garden, watching the Hollywood elite courtside like they're part of the team. Oh, God, I can't stand it. Self-important. Ugh. God, I've almost cursed like 8 times tonight. I've come so close because I'm just so aggravated. By the way, the war that caused tonight, a breakthrough peace agreement reached between the United States and Iran, signaling an immediate halt to the highly destructive 2026 Iran war. U.S. President Trump announced that the diplomatic accord is officially complete, ordering the immediate lifting of the devastating U.S. naval blockade, mediated primarily by Pakistan, an immediate and permanent cessation of military operations is now in effect across all regional theaters. And formal signing ceremony is scheduled for June 19th in Switzerland. The Straits of Hormuz reopening. Iran will immediately stop its naval threats and fully open the Straits of Hormuz to global commercial shipping, alleviating a catastrophic global energy and supply crisis. All right. Sanctions and asset relief. In exchange for cooperation, the U.S. began releasing frozen Iranian assets, including billions previously held in the United Arab Emirates, and waive aggressive sanctions on Iranian crude oil exports. And then the nuclear status quo, that's the biggie, isn't it? Iran has agreed to freeze its nuclear program, halt uranium enrichment, and pause facility expansions. A structured 60-day negotiation period will follow to handle the permanent dismantling of its nuclear stockpiles. Look, there's some good in there. There's some crap in there. I don't trust Iran as far as I could throw them, especially with the nuclear thing. But I think the attacks have really put a damper on their nuclear program, more so than any talks or trusting them with people coming in and taking a little look, making sure they're not pulling shenanigans with uranium enrichment. It blowing up a lot of their garbage, I think, will help out in at least pushing it down the road a little bit. So we'll see. All right, people, look, what a great Sunday. Love chatting with you. Tune in next Sunday to the Anthony Cumia Show when we return here live. And X, I am Anthony Cumia on X social media. You could get me there. And we'll see you next week. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to The Anthony Cumia Show. You can hear The Anthony Cumia Show Sunday nights at 8. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?